The German interest in Titanic continues with a propaganda film around 1943 called Titanic. And interestingly enough, some of the footage in the German propaganda film turns up in A Night to Remember. There have been several other films done during the post-war years.
There have been many films made of Titanic, and this one with Clifton Webb and Barbara Stanwyck and a very young Robert Wagner was made in the 1950s. It was a fair success, but it was nowhere near as successful as the next one, which is A Night to Remember, the very famous one by Walter Lord.
Head and shoulders above them all is the film based on Walter Lord's book, and the same title, A Night to Remember. The film, for its authenticity, for its casting, for the transliteration from the printed page to the screen, has seldom, if ever, been equaled in any other film.
There is always, I think, a difficulty in translating print medium into visuals. And I think in the case of A Night to Remember, the test of time shows that it was a marvelous, marvelous translation between those two media. You have incredible attention to detail and accuracy, the sets, the costumes, the dialogue, everything is right on the mark. And from a historical standpoint, that's what we look for, something that is true to the original event. A Night to Remember is a significant movie for the reason that it is keeping the modern generation aware of the story of the Titanic. We use the movie very successfully in our English curriculum, and students of a wide variety of ability levels have found it an absolutely enthralling and fascinating experience to learn about the ship and the people who were on board. It has often been said that today's generation of teenagers is completely turned off and tuned out in terms of history. One only has to look at their riveted faces in a classroom showing of A Night to Remember to know that that's not true. The movie brings history alive, and from that standpoint, it is a valuable education too. One of the things that never ceases to amaze me, having seen the movie dozens and dozens and dozens of times, is the fact that it continues to move. It continues to touch the heart. You look at the movie, particularly the ending with the strains of Nearer, My God, to Thee, and it continues to clutch at the emotions. And I think really for a movie to withstand that sort of repeated exposure is really a testament to the beautiful job that was done.
I think it stands up very, very well. Particularly the end of the ship. I don't see how they managed to do it so effectively when they were just working with the studios and props. And when the ship goes down under the sea, it just must have been the way it was. I've seen countless accounts of the ship going down, and it was just an enormously impressive performance. I would say I was lucky to have had a film producer, director, screenwriter, who followed so faithfully the facts as I felt I'd put them together. When there was doubt, they would always do what had really happened rather than make up something. I remember Eric Ambler changing several bits of dialogue and to the script to go with what I said. I was so sure that what I said was right that I didn't appreciate sufficiently that the people who made the film were willing to go along with me, whatever I said.
Walter Lord is the dean of Titanic scholars. In fact, I owe my own interest in the Titanic to having read Walter's book when I was just a young child. So many thousands and thousands of people can claim what I did, that Walter was the one who interested us in Titanic, and we're very grateful to him for that. Without his book, many of us would have been blissfully unaware of the incredible drama that was Titanic. So I think Walter is really the genesis of the modern study of Titanic. It was he who essentially built the first bridge between the coverage of 1912 and the modern day research efforts that are going on.
It's in its 55th paperback printing. Then there are editions all over the world. For a while I collected them all, and I have a dozen or more, and they're fun to keep, and I proudly put them up on the shelf of my bookcase. But it interests me that so many people in so many places have become interested in this subject. The editions are in every language you could possibly think of. Not long ago, somebody sent me 9 copies of the Pakistani edition. Well, I wish I had 9 Pakistani friends, but they just sit on the shelf as it is. The whole subject has become sort of gotten much attention. Bob Ballard has now gone to the bottom of the sea and found the ship, and that opens up a whole other can of mysteries. And I get a great deal of mail from all over the world, and interestingly enough, all ages. The letters start coming when children hit about 10 or 12, and if they're precocious and readers at all, they will start reading and they will start asking questions too. And they do that a great deal, and I try to answer them all. Do it a great deal, probably I get half a dozen a month. And considering this has gone on for 30-some years, it adds up.